as a marketer, I think that you actually have one of the most important jobs in the entire world. This can't be about a tech stack. It can't be about the pain your problem solves. I think at the end of the day, it's like, what's at stake? What is lost here? What is gained here? And so when I think about this idea of human connection, it's like, there is nothing else without it.
Hi, I'm Gail Calvert, and this is Marketing in Progress, a spin-off of Work in Progress. This is for anyone juggling the world of B2B marketing, figuring out what matters, what you can skip, and what actually grows revenue. You'll hear from marketing leaders, sales leaders, and agency owners, every angle with no filter. You won't hear any jargon and no fluff, just real talk, smart ideas, and some laughs along the way. Welcome to Marketing in Progress. I'm Gail Calvert, here with Rachel Downey from Share Your Genius. Today, we're asking the big questions. What's the secret sauce behind partnerships that actually drive pipeline? Why are B2B marketers so hard on each other? And how do we flip that script? And is consistency the real growth hack nobody wants to admit? Stick around because this one's packed with the kind of real talk you don't usually hear. Well, before we jump in, Rachel, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, happy to do that. I'm the CEO and founder of Share Your Genius, and we are a content and podcast production agency. We primarily work with B2B go-to-market leaders.
Like me.
Like you.
All right, excellent. Well, I'll give you all a little background about me and my experience so you understand why I have any business talking about B2B marketing, right? Before I started Creo Collective, which is a B2B marketing agency, I spent more than 15 years actually in sales and marketing in professional services companies like Deloitte Consulting, working with IBM and software companies, and actually carried a quota for a little bit, which was a really helpful experience to know, how do marketing and sales actually work together successfully? And that's exactly why I created Marketing in Progress, which is this little teaser for that. Marketing in Progress is a spin-off of my current podcast, Work in Progress. And it's really a space, Marketing in Progress, for B2B marketing leaders like all of you to get together, hear from guests about what's working, what's not working. And as you'll see here with Rachel and me today, we are always honest and, we're all in this together is really the vibe. So let's get into it, Rachel.
I'm excited.
Okay. So you founded Share Your Genius way before podcasting was cool. Let's be honest. So I want to know, what made you think, podcasting for B2B marketers?
The idea really came out accidentally. And it's funny, as we talk about B2B marketing, I think one of the misnomers when people are thinking about having a marketing career is that most of marketing is about doing the job and learning what works and what doesn't work for you to actually be able to say, I understand marketing. And even then, there's so much new information all the time that it's constantly evolving anyway. So you have to be a practitioner of the craft. And so I say all that to say I had been a practitioner of the craft, specifically in content marketing at a marketing agency, and found myself in a situation where I was able to start working on a podcast with one of my friends. And he was launching a net new company, a net new brand. And within 6 months, it had generated over 6 figures worth of pipeline for him. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. What is this? And why and how is this working? And so fast forward, I kind of went all in on that because I had never seen a channel and content work so effectively and as efficiently. And so that's kind of how Share Your Genius began.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that you used the word pipeline because, right, aren't we all at the end of the day trying to drive qualified pipeline? So yeah, no, that's super cool. And obviously I got into the podcasting game. We'll touch on that after. Okay, I think it's your turn to ask me.
Yeah, well, I'm curious too. I mean, this is kind of the origin story of how we came to be to where we are today in our career. You left a very successful corporate career and decided to build a marketing agency, which, by the way, building an agency is actually really freaking hard. It's high stress. There's a lot of demands on you, all while trying to look good and sound really smart to your clients. So I am curious, why leave the golden handcuffs and pursue Creo?
Okay, I've never heard that one. That's a good name because it's the gold part of the salary and the benefits and maybe some handcuffs of wanting some flexibility and work for yourself. Truly for me, I wanted to have something of my own, right? I really saw that as something I wanted to do at some point in my life. And why Creo Collective? It was because honestly, I wanted to help other marketers like me who I felt were underserved. I do feel so much attention goes to B2C, right? B2C, B2C, B2C. And especially this was 2016. I think B2B has come a long way, just like in the past year. But as a B2B marketer, like I didn't feel that I had the resources that I needed as easily as I could have to do my job and do my job well. There are a ton of agencies, of course, you can get help, anywhere, but really designed to help somebody like me who's navigating politics, software, like highly technical topics. I just really wanted to be a place that could help other marketers. That's really that simple.
One of the through lines I see in both of our stories is we both founded our companies essentially in 2016, so right around the same time. The other thing that I find really interesting about our background is that we were both practitioners. Like we understood both sides of the aisle, if you will, when it comes to working at a company. And then I also had agency experience. And then you probably hired and worked with a million agencies too. So
Mhm.
I love that we're coming together in this way of like sharing from both a practitioner standpoint and now leaders of an agency. So I love that. And other thing I love about this, and I'll let you kind of take it away, but the human side of why we're both so passionate about what we do, I think is something that B2B is really hungry for and something I'm super excited to dig into a little bit more with you.
Yeah, it's funny. So Rachel and I did not know each other before a few months ago. We'll get to that in a second. So it is completely by coincidence that both of us literally incorporated human and being human, connecting with humans in our company. Like my tagline is marketing services with a human touch, right? Yours is human connection through podcasts. Is that correct? Did I make that up?
Our mission statement is to
Your
foster human
mission
connection.
statement.
So
Okay.
you didn't make it up, but
Okay.
you're
Okay.
close. You're
Whatever.
close.
Whatever. The human thing is all there. And like,
It's
obviously,
all
with
there.
both of us, I mean, it's just sort of innate to like who I am. When I think about helping our clients and helping marketers, it's really about like people, right? Like, how do we actually help individual people be more successful? But also in B2B marketing, right? Everything right now is about technology. So, AI platforms, there's a platform for everything. I am a huge evangelist for technology. Like, absolutely, you want to use tools to be faster, to do your job better, but you need humans, right? You need like the human capability to be a successful marketer. And one of the things that I think is really important if you're bringing on any kind of agency or partner is that they know how to navigate your internal politics. They know like your lingo. They can kind of slide in there and be part of your team, and you can't do that just by using like ChatGPT. You ultimately can use that as sort of an analogy. Like you need the brains combined with the technology to really create a fantastic outcome. I'm seeing a lot of human messaging like in B2B. I think for that reason, like people are hungry for human connection with, no lack of technology and all this digital remote, right? I think it's all part of it.
I think it has to be, and I think if we take almost take the skew away from the marketing perspective, and we take a couple steps back, and we think about how we're all connected in the world, just as a species. A couple things are really prevalent in our world today, and I'm not going to go down a path that's not related to the topic, but just to kind of anchor us in some foundational understanding. Loneliness is one of the highest epidemics that we've had in forever. The other thing is, when we think about human connection and the role marketing plays in that, part of the marketing job is to tell a story, and how that story gets told into the different avenues within the divisions of the system is completely different. But story is actually what connects humans to each other. And it's how we've survived since the earliest days of like cave paintings and things like that. And so, as a marketer, I think that you actually have one of the most important jobs in the entire world. This can't be about a tech stack. It can't be about the pain your problem solves. I think at the end of the day, it's like, what's at stake? You know what I mean? Like, what is lost here? What is gained here? And so when I think about this idea of human connection, it's like there is nothing else without it. And so if you don't have a brand that's putting humans at the first and how you create human connection between your product or your service, but it really is like the people within your organization and the people that you're able to help.
And I think you said connecting with people and loneliness, like that's part of the buying process in B2B. It's sort of fascinating to me that whenever we think about B2B marketing for so long, we don't realize like B2B buyers are consumers, right? We are all just people living this life experience. And so if you're marketing for a software company, something deeply technical, right? You still have to find the human element to connect with that buyer. Like, so positioning functionality and product-led marketing, right? My heart is really with the storytelling and like, how is this fundamentally going to help your customer either live better, do their work better, solve a problem for them, and like at a visceral level. I think that's why we're seeing so much success in B2B marketing with communities, right? I mean, podcasting in itself is creating a community in its own right. I've worked with so many clients who, again, like deeply technical products where their success in building pipeline actually has been derived from sales free. Seriously, everybody, no sales pitch allowed. Okay. Sales free events, gatherings, right? It can be any kind of community building, but like kind of like a safe place, right? Like a safe place for your prospects and your customers to get together and help each other. And then you're really just facilitating that as the brand. And not everybody would think of that like, oh, community building, what do we need to invest in that for, right? Well, that investment has such a huge ROI on ultimate pipeline. You see a lot of that too, like in your podcasting, right?
Oh, yeah, and I think a couple things are really feel like truths to me, frankly. One is that we've known this forever, but people do buy from people, and your network is your net worth, right? And so when you invest in people, people will invest in you. It's pretty simple. We are complicated beings, but not really. You help me, I'm gonna help you. Like, it's just the way we work. And I think sometimes we get too focused on the functionality. We get too focused on the brass tacks before like taking the time to just stay curious, stay present with the people we're trying to connect with, make sure that we actually understand what they need and not try and sell them something that they don't want. People don't want to get sold to, but they do want to buy. And so it's like, how do we make sure that the thing that they actually want is the thing that we're delivering based on what they told us, not what we assumed? That's kind of what constantly comes to mind for me. And I think community is a big deal. I think, the experience that I've had really this year in terms of growing Share Your Genius, and I'm not going to talk numbers, but I will tell you that we've been closing a deal a week since February. And I'm like, what the heck? How have we been able to do that? Because we are not mature in our marketing motion. That's actually why we just started working with you at Creo, is because we're actually ready to put some infrastructure around our company. But the reason that we've been able to do that is because we have developed really good partnerships and relationships, and those partners are telling other people about us. And so we're not having to market ourselves, because if we did, who would listen? But we're looking at people who already have credibility, who already have expertise in front of our ICP, and partnering with them to help ideally make their lives better. And it has definitely helped make ours.
Yeah, and you just said partners, and that reminded me like, duh, when we talk about B2B marketing, what's working? Partnerships. Like partnerships always have been a real critical piece of sales, especially in the tech sector, but really, across the board. That hasn't changed. And partner marketing, I have always found in my experience in-house and also now at an agency with my clients, is very much sort of a low priority. Like, oh yeah, we'll fund that partner marketing at some point. Or like, oh yeah, well, can you take on partner marketing in addition to the 6 other hats that you wear on the marketing team? And while I get it, right? I get it. There's how much budget and where do we put it all? It's not going to lead to success if you're just deprioritizing it, because the only way that partnerships are successful, and this is why you're having success with them, is because you have a sponsor internally who actually is tied to sales, that like knows that partnership can help them with their sales numbers. It's even better if they're compensated or measured by the success of those partnerships. Like you need somebody who is tied to the success of that partnership internally to be a sponsor who has authority to really make that partnership work, because then they are going to invest the funding and the people. And that when you say like, oh, we have a partnership, but like it's not giving us any results, it's like, take a look at how much you're actually investing in people, time, and marketing in those relationships. And maybe think about like bumping that up, because like you said, and we all know, a referral is your best lead, right? I mean, those are gold. Hey there, quick pause. If you're enjoying this episode, drop a comment right here on YouTube or Spotify. It could be a moment that stuck with you, something you related to, or maybe you have a question that you'd like us to answer. When you do, you'll be entered to win some work in progress swag. We're talking super cozy hoodies. It's free, it's cute, and who doesn't love a good hoodie? All right, let's get back to it.
So what else do you see as working in B2B marketing?
Well, you touched on it quickly when you said people want to buy from people. I'm sure we've all heard, like, you need a thought leader. You need somebody to be the face of your organization because buyers don't typically like trust brands, they trust people. And so getting somebody to go out there and like put themselves on the line to be a thought leader is working. And I say put themselves on the line on purpose because it's scary. So I have a lot of conversations with clients about this, like having somebody who is really going to be actually authentic, right? And a little vulnerable and a little scared and taking stances that aren't necessarily the conventional wisdom, because that is what really works. Like you could have a thought leader and they're out there saying what everybody else is saying, but those companies are not having success, right? The companies that are having success tied to thought leadership have somebody with strong opinions. You have so much experience with this. You talk about it. What do you?
I think everything you're saying, I totally agree with. I think that we have a lot of kind of underdeveloped and overexposed people online. What I think brands need to harness is the power of the people within their organization. And so we say thought leader, there's a lot of thought parrots out there, but a thought leader is somebody who is speaking about things in a way that other people are not. They have a very clear point of view. And if they don't know their point of view, then let's work on finding it. One of the ways you can work on finding your point of view is by having conversations, externally processing. Some people use a podcast just for that, so they can figure out what their actual opinion is. We're also inundated with things like AI, and ChatGPT is starting to tell us what to think. And so it's like, take 10, 15 more minutes and actually explore, how do I feel about this actually? What about my actual experiences is shaping my actual opinion, those types of things. But to your point, like the brands that want to last into the next decades and on, they're gonna have to put their people front and center, because your people are your last defense. They're actually your moat. They are what makes your brand different. Like my company can be copied, your company can be copied, tech companies can be copied, your messages can be mimicked, but like what literally sets everything apart is the fact that like I am unique and every single person is unique. We may not all be special, but we are all unique. And so it's like, how do you find the people within your organization who do have the courage to get on the mic and do it in a way that's very consistent, and that we're committed to looking at the things that are actually moving the needle with our customer or with our client?
Yeah. Okay. I have three things I want to say. First thing I thought of was I want to give people listening 2 tips for the internal. It's like, say, you're in marketing and you're trying to get employees to get online and do the things that you just talked about. And there's fear. People are either like, oh, I don't have anything to say, or kind of scared to do that. And then, of course, there are people who just don't like social media. We can't really solve that problem.
Right. They're
That's
not your person.
it's not going to work. Yeah, just let them go. But so just to make it simple, like 2 tips I would tell those people. First off, repetition is critical. I even forget this sometimes. I think I have to have something new and different to say every time, I go out there. And first of all, we're not built that way. Like you can't, right? But also you have to be consistent because as we all know, there's so much content. You've got to get out there and say the same thing because at some point, the person that needs to hear, when they need to hear it at the right time are going to see it. So don't feel like you have to come up with something new and different every time. So maybe work with your internal colleagues to say, give me 2 things. What are 2 things that you feel passionate about? And then just lather, rinse, repeat, right?
100,000%. I think that we do live in this world of like, I've got to constantly be on the hamster wheel cranking out new ideas, new thoughts. It's just not sustainable. So it's like, figure out a few anchors for yourself that you're like, this is actually what I think. This is actually what I know to be true. And like you said, like keep saying it over and over again. And you can get more creative in how you say it over time to figure out like which angle of XYZ is working. But yeah, like consistency is going to win every single time, because the job of B2B is not to go viral. The job of B2B is to get attention and keep it. And that doesn't mean like it's not spiky. You want people who are consistently showing up for you, just like you're consistently showing up for them.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, everybody wants to go viral, but in B2B, being viral isn't. You give 15
Means you
minutes
gotta
of
stay
fame,
home.
perhaps. Yeah. Is there anything that you're seeing that you think B2B marketers should stop doing? I think we're all overwhelmed and we all want to
Yeah.
add and we all want to do more things. And you think, oh my God, I got to add another campaign or I got to add another this or that or the other. Yeah, let's keep it simple. What should people
So
stop?
It's not gonna be a tactical, practical thing. It's gonna be totally coming from a human perspective. But I think B2B marketers should stop being so critical of other B2B marketers. Like, you see this on LinkedIn or sometimes even in,
Yes.
like, events where people, like, troll and say, like, really rude stuff, and it's like, "What for?" We're all out here trying to figure out, like, what's working for our buyers, for our audience, for our team. Like, we are all in a weird way in this together, even if our methods aren't gonna work for the same audience overlap. It doesn't matter. So I would say more encouragement, stop, like, being so critical, and if you have feedback for somebody, like, go into their DMs or, like, literally give them, like, thoughtful feedback that helps them become better, like a constructive criticism as opposed to something that's based on, like, nothing.
Right. That sort of ties into what I was going to say I wish B2B marketers would stop doing. Similar is tune out all the B2B. I love that you called them thought parrots. I wrote that down. Never heard that before. But yeah, like tune that shit out. It's just bringing you down. Like it's the same, if I think about my Instagram algorithm, for instance, if it's bringing me down, I'm like, I got to change this algorithm. Like my Instagram algorithm right now lifts me up. Like I have figured that out. Like I'm like, this needs to make me feel good, right? So does your LinkedIn feed. Even myself, if I'm on there and I'm reading this, people are just very negative, right? And there's
Yeah.
so much like, here's what you have to do, or like the hill I'm going to die on. Like, what are we at war, people? Like, it's
What
not
are we
that
doing?
deep.
Yeah.
It's not that deep. And nobody knows you. Nobody knows your customer. Nobody knows your company like you do. So, whatever you're reading out there or taking in, wherever it is, LinkedIn, books, podcasts, whatever, don't get stressed and bogged down and think you've got to keep up with like the business Joneses. I can't come up with a
Yeah.
better term, right? Like,
No, literally,
you
the
don't have to
business
keep up with the
Joneses.
Joneses.
Yeah, you just have to keep up with yourself and get better one day at a time, you know what I mean? Like, and it is the idea of you talked about repetition. It's repetition in message and point of view and getting clearer and clearer, but it's also repetition in your own, like, mastery of the craft, and, like, you have to keep moving forward, and I am, like, I don't know, maybe it's irrelevant as a leader of a company. I am very impatient as a person, so everything takes longer than I think it's gonna take. Everything takes longer than I think it should take, all these kinds of things, and I've learned to just, like, hold it longer than I feel like I should so that actually I can see things come into fruition. And so just that idea of like practicing and doing and sharing as opposed to trolling, being negative for the sake of it. Like that's doing nothing and actually hurts your brand.
Yeah. And there's so much pivoting, right? Everyone talks about like pivoting. Well, if your campaign has been live for a couple of weeks, you don't pivot, right? You have to give things time. And look, like I said, been there, been internal, totally understand that the CEO might not feel the same way. But one of the jobs of us marketers is to educate up that doing less more consistently is actually going to get the results that you need. I know as a marketer, that sounds really scary. Like, wait, I'm only going to rely on like 3 things instead of 17. But like, what if that 16th thing gets me the results I want? It's not. Like scientifically, it is not. The data will back you up. It takes 5 to 7 times for somebody to see something before they act on it. I mean, think about yourself and we're all like, why didn't we get any leads from that email? I mean, guys, myself included. Like we're doing marketing for ourselves. And I'm like, why isn't this happening quicker? Well, then think about your own self and how many times you see an email and you think, oh, I got to reply, or I got to do this and I want to. And then you remember in the morning and then you remember one night. And maybe 4 weeks later, when I see that person on my LinkedIn feed, I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to reply to them. So if you're doing a campaign, you do want to have a variety of tactics to meet your audience because there are so many channels. I know it's frustrating, but that is what works. It's basically like you got to remind people and then remind them and then remind them again.
I think what you said when you started just now is the only soundbite that people should take away if they take nothing else. Choose the things you're choosing and keep doing it consistently. Understand the KPIs you're measuring in order to know whether or not it's time to like evolve or pivot. But you got to let things run its course and you have to decide how long you're going to let it run. Like in the podcast space specifically, I tell people when you start a podcast, you're signing on for a year and you're probably signing on for 3, to be honest, because it's one of those things that just like takes consistent time. Like it literally just does. And there's nothing that beats time. And so I would always say, like for marketers, especially, I'm talking to myself here, is when you get the shiny object syndrome, which I'm like so aware that I get, keep one thing that's your shiny object. Let the other things just be your consistent, always on programs.
Yeah, that's a good thought. It's like you can experiment, you can add new things, but try one new thing instead of a
45.
million. I think there's one, and I see it with my clients. There's so much pressure to also find the latest technology that can
Right.
help you. And I'm not just talking about AI, but just for
Oh, in
everything, right? It's
general.
like,
Yeah.
oh, every time you turn around, it's like, oh, you got to upgrade to get that functionality. And then all of a sudden people are like, I have so many licenses. I don't even know why I have all these licenses. Well, maybe take a look at your budget and bring down the software investment. And then, like we said, like double down on some of the things where they're working so that you can do those things that are working more consistently. Yeah. The technology thing, I mean, we could do a whole like week
A whole
on
thing.
tech fatigue. I did promise that we would tell people how we met, and it does tie into all this. So I was going on LinkedIn to do research. I was trying to find like other founder CEOs because, guys, this is my first time. Never worked at an agency, totally winging it. I was like, I need to find other founder CEOs that I can like learn from. And I come across this LinkedIn Live where you were interviewing these two women who were doing a podcast with you. And I literally thought, like, well, why not me? And then what did I do next? I went to your profile. I like completely stalked Rachel to the point that when I DM'd you, and I was like, hi, I'd like to meet about a podcast. I was nervous. So, guys, isn't
It's
this
wild.
ideal? Like, the prospect is nervous and your CEO gets to be like the person that they're nervous to meet instead of you being nervous. You're going to not close the deal. I was like, it was bad.
That's why I had no idea you were nervous.
I know everything about you, but that's what you and I both do. Like you post about your kids, like we're like everything's fair game. So I was like, this might be a little cringy. I know everything about her.
It's fine.
Anyway, that's the goal, right? This is the point. Like you want to get out there. You want people to be so familiar with your brand or you, depending what your goals are, that they feel like they've experienced it. Like they've had an experience with your company's brand, or if you're working on your own, like with you, then you know you're doing a really great job marketing and getting that kind of like brand and voice out there. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. I feel like we didn't cover half of what we wanted to cover. But on my podcast, Work in Progress, and now Marketing in Progress, I always like to end with a couple of fun questions to like change the vibe because we can't talk about work all the time. All right. So, Rachel, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Are you coffee or tea? Not a hard question, but people are deeply opinionated about this. I had no idea.
Well, it depends on the time of day because I am like a coffee in the morning gal and a tea at night kind of gal.
Oh, me too. I'm only coffee in the morning. I have tried so many times to have coffee in the afternoon, like iced coffee, all these different coffees. And I'm like, nope, not feeling it.
Nope.
Nope, nope. Okay, but people are like really, really opinionated. Like they get angry about like,
Yeah,
oh
I
no.
don't get angry about things like that.
No, me neither.
Actually, most things. I'm not an angry person in general.
Wait, is it hot or cold, the coffee?
Oh, hot.
Always. Summer?
Always hot. Summer I'll do iced, but I like a hot cup of coffee
All
in the
right, all right.
morning, right when the
Me
sun
too.
is coming up. You know, it's a whole vibe.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you. It is the one time I go outside every day. I'm like 5 minutes, got to go outside for 5 minutes before I work. Okay. What song do you have on repeat right now?
So I love Forrest Frank. He's a faith-based artist, but it's like really good. And so I listen to his music a lot. I listen to Drop a lot.
Mine are like Warren G, Biggie Smalls.
I mean,
you're like
I'm
faith.
here for it. I'm here for it, but I have to like the content that goes in my brain has to fill my spirit so that I can
Oh,
like carry on.
I just learned something new about you. Meanwhile, I'm like dropping curses and fucking the kids are like, Mom, do you know what this music, do you know what they're saying? I'm like, yeah, just go with it.
It's fine.
Just
It's
jump.
fine.
All right. My last question, time blocking. Are you a like, hell yes, I time block, or I can't survive, or like, F no, no. Or are you like time blocking curious?
I have been a intense time blocker. Now I am a flexible time blocker. So
Oh,
it is actually a tactic I use to make sure that everything that I know needs to happen gets done. Otherwise, I found myself just like stressed all the time. And so now I just make sure that like the few things that are running in my head that I know I have to get done, I will put that on the calendar like as a time block. The rest of it though, I kind of let flex based on what the business needs or my family needs.
okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, how do we time block for all the different categories in our
You
life?
can't. I can't. And
No,
I also don't like
no.
that kind of structure. It makes me feel
Yeah.
trapped. So I just like do
Right,
it on the
right.
things I need to.
Exactly. I'm like, wait, I own my own business because I wanted some sort of control over my schedule. Well, if my time lock is yelling at me all the time, that feels bad. And then I'm the one that like blocks out time and then deletes it. So like,
Yeah.
I'm time blocking curious. I'm going to come back and give everybody an update. If anybody else would like to try to time block, I can post. I've found some good information because I'm like, I need help. Clearly, people are like loving this system and I have to do it.
It works. I will say that it works.
Okay. All right. Well, that is a wrap for us today. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks.
I hope that was helpful. If you know someone that you go to for this topic, send them my way. After all, we're just figuring this out together. See you next time.